We have started to use SAML resources, and we have started to use them with a color. We defined a color resource inside of the app.saml file and started to use it across our application. In this case, we added it to the main page and to 3 elements. We're using it as the background color of our button and as the text color of our entries. During this video, we're going to be using the resources in a whole new way that will allow us to define entire styles for our elements so we can reuse these styles. This is very important because, like I said in the previous lecture, usually you want all of the elements of one type to look the same across the application. Or maybe you have a couple of styles that have to be applied to the same kind of element in different scenarios. For example, you may have a style for a label for when the label is supposed to be a title, and a different style for when the label is supposed to be the body. You can define this in SAML in a very similar way in which we defined the first resource, and we're also going to be using the style in a very similar way. So the first thing that I want to do is navigate to the app.saml file. It is inside of the same resource dictionary that we defined earlier that we want to define a style. Styles are applied to controls, are applied to buttons, labels, entries, whatever element that we have defined through SAML, and are defined as styles. So let's define our first style. And we define a style like this. This style has to have a target type, that element to which the style is going to be applied to. So let's define target type like this, and let's set this, for example, to be button. So this style is going to apply to button controls. And inside of the definition of this style, we have to set the properties that are going to define the style. To be able to do that, we define setters like this. A setter is going to have a value for the property that it's targeting and the value that it's going to apply. In the case of the button, we can target the property background color and assign a value of static resource and use the blue color that we have. We can also set another property, which is, for example, text color, and in this case, set the value to be white. Since we're already reusing SAML definitions, we can set our own white because maybe eventually we want to use a different white or maybe even a different color. So let's define a new color in here. And right now the white is going to be entirely white, and an entirely white color in hexadecimal values has 6 Fs. And let's define a key for this element as well. And this is going to be white color. And so instead of writing white directly, we're going to be using the static resource, which is the white color. And so we have a style to be applied to the button. Let's save the changes and navigate to the main page.saml. And I will want to open the SAML forms previewer again. And right now the button looks the same way, but it's supposed to look the same way because it has the text color and the background color defined. But take a look at what happens when I erase this definition. It continues to look the exact same way. Now let's try this again because again, this may be the previewer not re-rendering things. I'm going to Control Z on this one, and I'm going to change the background color to something like magenta. Notice that it is being re-rendered, but if I remove the definition of the background color, it returns to blue. So what is happening in here? Because we didn't set a name to this style, the style is going to be applied to every single one of the buttons that we define. If a style has no name, it is applied automatically to all of the elements, of course, of the target type that it's targeting. In this case, this button, it's part of that target. This is what is called implicit styles. We do not need to set the style for this button for the style to be applied. Like you saw, you can always change the values right from the definition of the button. For example, I can change this text color to be black. And it is applied as black. It is overriding the style being applied. But if I don't define the element, if I don't define the property, these properties are going to be using the values that are assigned directly from the style that is being applied. So this way, all of the buttons that were defined are going to look very similar, and we're using a lot of code. In the next lecture, we're going to take a look at what happens when you want more than one style defined.